So here's a thought to start us off. What if an ancient civilization, one without, any of our modern tech, had this incredibly precise knowledge about the stars?
Knowledge that not only lines up with ours, but maybe even goes beyond it.
Exactly. It kind of challenges everything we think we know, doesn't it?
It really does. And that's what brings us to the Dogon people today.
Right. We're doing a deep dive into this fascinating culture from West Africa, Mali specifically. They live up in the Bandiagra Cliffs and Plateau area.
Which is actually a UNESCO-protected site. Stunning place.
It is. And our mission here is really to get into their culture, their symbolism, which is incredibly rich.
And of course, these, well, astonishing claims they have about their own origins, their cosmogony,
Yeah.
especially their knowledge, their detailed knowledge of the Sirius star system.
We really want to unpack their worldview for you, look at the historical accounts, and try to make sense of this wisdom they seem to possess.
And we've got some great source material to help us.
Yeah.
We're looking at excerpts from the Dogons by Noble D. Lamour.
Plus the anthropological work, the really foundational stuff from Marcel Griol and Germaine Dieterlen.
And even bringing in perspectives from astrophysics, like Jean-Marc Bonnet-Bidot. So, should be quite a journey.
Let's dive in. Okay, so the Dogon people, they're thought to have settled in Bandiagra maybe around the 13th century.
Yeah, after the Malian Empire started to decline, their roots trace back to Mende, which is sort of southwest Mali, northeast Guinea now.
And what strikes me is how early European visitors kind of, got them wrong initially.
Oh, completely. The whole primitive label just doesn't stick once you look closer. Their society is incredibly intricate.
They have this deep connection, the symbiosis with their environment, right?
Absolutely. It shows up in everything, their cults, traditions, ceremonies, rituals. It's all about honoring their creator, who they call Amma, but also ancestors and the stars themselves.
And this symbolism isn't just for special occasions, it's woven into daily life.
Their food, how they dress, the pottery they make, the sculptures, even their houses. Everything seems to tell a part of their story.
It's like living inside their cosmology almost. You mentioned their houses, the architecture is quite distinctive.
Very. It's typical of that whole Mali, Sudano-Sahelian region,
Yeah.
like Timbuktu or the Great Mosque of Djenné.
Right.
But for the Dogon, even the layout, the structure, the rooms, it's all anthropomorphic.
Yeah.
It represents male and female aspects. Its building is storytelling.
Fascinating. And central to these stories are the Nomo, right? These spirit entities.
Yes, the Nomo. You see them a lot in Dogon art, often depicted as androgynous figures. They represent the original twin couples, this idea of combined masculine and feminine principles.
It paints a picture of such a deeply integrated culture. Spirituality, daily life, art, architecture, all connected.
It really is. Which makes you wonder how the outside world first encountered them and started to grapple with their unique knowledge.
So when did Europeans first make contact?
The very first time was apparently 1857. That was before the French colonization really took hold in the 1890s.
But the really significant contact for understanding their deeper beliefs came later.
Much later, yeah. The 1930s. That's when the anthropologists Marcel Griol and Germaine Dieterlen arrived. Their work was, game-changing.
Their documentation is pretty much the foundation for how the West came to learn about the Dogon cosmogony, isn't it?
It really is. They spent
Okay.
decades there. Spiritually, the Dogon are predominantly animist.
Meaning they see spirits in nature, in objects.
Exactly. And at the center is Amma, the supreme god, the creator figure. The sources we looked at mention Amma has attributes you might find comparable to, say, figures in Abrahamic traditions.
Interesting. And besides Amma, they have other spiritual practices.
Oh yes, several distinct totemic cults. These link groups to spiritual symbols, animals, nature, that sort of thing. There's a famous cult of masks.
I've seen images of those incredible masks.
Yeah. And the Libe cult, the Binu cult, and the Jina cult, which is focused on ancestors. It shows how layered their belief system is.
And how have things changed today? Are these traditions still strong?
For many Dogon, yes, very much so. But, like many cultures, there's been influence from outside. Some Dogon are now Christian or Muslim.
And Islam has integrated in some ways.
Apparently so, yes. Some Islamic ideas have found their way into their spiritual practice recently, and it's quite striking, actually. The Quran itself mentions Sirius.
Really? Which part?
In the surah called Al-Najj, which means the star, verses 53.4850 specifically reference Sirius. It feels almost like a foreshadowing of just how important Sirius is to the Dogon.
Wow. Okay, so that brings us right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The Sirius connection.
This is where it gets truly, truly fascinating. The Dogon cosmogony, their entire story of origin, is fundamentally tied to the star Sirius.
And this is where Marcel Grial's findings caused such a stir.
Absolutely. Because what Grial reported was that the Dogon had, and I quote, concise knowledge of the Sirius binary system
At a time when?
at a time when there was simply no technology, no telescopes available to them that could possibly verify it. Think about that.
It's mind-boggling. So what exactly did they know?
Well, they identified Sirius A, the really bright one we can all see. They call it Sigitolo.
Okay, the main star.
And then they talked about Sirius B. They call it Potolo, which means the Phonio star. Phonio is a tiny grain they cultivate, maybe suggesting something small but important.
And Sirius B is the companion star, the white dwarf that orbits Sirius A?
Correct. Science confirmed it's a binary system. But Sirius B is incredibly faint and hard to see.
When did we first see it? With telescopes?
It was first observed visually in 1862 by Alvin Graham Clark. And even today, you often need powerful telescopes, sometimes even X-ray observatories like Chandra, to get a good look.
Yet the Dogon seemingly knew about it long before 1862.
That's the core of the mystery, yes. But wait, there's more.
Oh, of course there is.
They also talk about a third star, Sirius C. They call it Emiatolo, the sorghum star.
Sirius C. Now, what does modern astronomy say about that?
Well, that's the thing. Sirius C is, as our sources put it, still obscure to our contemporaries. There have been investigations, some hints maybe in the mid-90s, but nothing conclusive. No confirmed discovery.
So they knew about A, accurately described B,
Yeah.
and claimed a C that we still can't definitively find.
Precisely. And it wasn't just that these stars existed, they apparently knew about their orbits.
Their orbits. How accurately?
This is where the astrophysicist Jean-Marc Bonnet-Bidot comes in. He mentioned in an interview that the Dogon tradition states Sirius B takes 60 years to orbit Sirius A.
And the actual scientific measurement.
It's about 50 years and a few months. So, remarkably close, especially for ancient knowledge. Some sources say the Dogon elder Grial spoke to specifically said 50 years, it's debated. But the 60-year cycle is key culturally.
Why 60 years culturally?
Because their most important ceremony, the CG ceremony, which celebrates Sirius A, happens every 60 years. It seems directly linked to this astronomical cycle they described.
Okay, that ties the knowledge directly into their cultural practice over potentially centuries. What about Sirius C's orbit?
The Dogon claim, according to the sources, is that Sirius C takes 32 years to orbit Sirius A. Again, knowledge about something we haven't even confirmed exists.
It's deeply puzzling. How could they know this? Which leads us to their explanation.
Yes, if your mind isn't already reeling, get ready. Because the Dogon explanation for how they know this is perhaps the most extraordinary part of their entire tradition.
Which is?
Their claim, their belief, is that their ancestors weren't originally from Earth.
Not from Earth.
No. They believe their ancestors came here from a planet orbiting Sirius C a long, long time ago.
From Sirius C, the star we can't even confirm.
That's their origin story. They even describe the arrival. They talk about arriving at the descriptions sound like a spaceship with features similar to the Apollo rockets.
Wait, Apollo rockets, how would they?
Exactly. That comparison is obviously modern, but the description Grial recorded apparently involved concepts of spinning, landing, fire, smoke things that resonated later with images of rocket launches. It's startling imagery from a traditional culture.
And what was Earth like when they arrived, according to this story?
They describe arriving when Earth was pitch black, completely dark. The first thing they saw was the brilliant light of Sirius A, Sigitolo.
Okay.
Only after seeing Sirius did the sun appear. And that moment, the first sunrise they witnessed, they call the first morning of the world.
Wow, that's quite a narrative. And they believe they've passed this knowledge down.
Yes, they trace their lineage back to 4 common ancestors who came from the Sirius system, and they believe this astronomical knowledge has been carefully transmitted through generations.
Is it just oral tradition?
Mostly, it seems, through complex rituals, myths, and symbolism. But our sources also mention that artifacts reflecting their astronomical knowledge have apparently been found, suggesting maybe some physical records or memory aids existed too.
And are there links to other cultures? Sometimes you hear connections made.
There are, yes. People have drawn parallels between Dogon cosmology, particularly concerning Sirius, and beliefs found among ancient Egyptians, certain Bantu groups, even pygmies. It raises questions about potential shared ancient knowledge systems focused on Sirius across Africa.
Okay, so wrapping this up. It's hard not to be just, astonished by all this.
Absolutely. You have the depth of Dogon culture, their intricate symbolism.
And then you have this layer of incredibly specific, seemingly advanced astronomical knowledge about the Sirius system, knowledge that appears way ahead of its time, technologically speaking.
It creates this huge gap, doesn't it,
Mhm.
between their traditional way of life, as we perceive it, and this body of information they hold.
It really does. So the question for us, maybe for you listening, is how do we even begin to process this?
How do we fit this kind of ancient, precise, seemingly inexplicable knowledge into our tidy narratives of history, of human capability, of how science progresses?
What does the Dogon story really challenge us to rethink about where knowledge comes from? Maybe about the limits of what we think is possible, or even about our place in the universe.
It's definitely something to ponder, the nature of discovery, what constitutes wisdom, and just how vastly different cultures can understand their connection to the cosmos. It's a lot to think about.